All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And Irini will start us off with an introduction from the Code Week team.
Hello everyone. It's been a pleasure having our second webinar for our autumn series in our Code and our Code Week team, and we continue with an Apple webinar on build with stacks and shapes. So as I already mentioned, and it's in the chat, you can find the previous webinar, so you can have it both in a row, and you can keep track of what is happening on our YouTube channel of Code Week. For those who are not aware and they don't know what Code Week is, and one of the biggest grassroots initiatives coming from the European Commission and bringing coding and digital literacy closer to students and teachers. So this is why we're organizing such hands-on webinars when teachers can find all these ideas and they can implement it directly to their classrooms. We celebrate Code Week between 7 to 22nd of October, but Code Week is actually running through the whole year, and you can always sign up to our website and post your activities if you're doing something similar, if you're trying all these things that Susan is gonna help you with today. You can organize activities with your students and let us know about it. And if you feel like you would like find more about the Code Week in your country, because Code Week is implemented in all European countries and Western Balkans, please go to the community in our website and check the ambassador at national level, and they will hand you all the information about the initiative. But now I will give the floor to Suzanne to continue with these fruitful sessions. Thank you all for being here with us.
Thank you, Irini. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Yeah, so today we are going to code, and the project is called Build with Stacks and Shapes. But before we start, I have a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you who are new to WebEx and for whom English is maybe not the first language, if you look on the bottom left of your WebEx, you can actually have me subtitled in your preferred language. So maybe that will help you kind of follow along a little bit better if English is not your first language. Then at the top right, you should also see a button called Layout. And there you can kind of toggle between wanting to see me in full screen or actually what I'm sharing, and seeing everybody's faces as well. But for this session, it will be most effective if you have the screen that I'm sharing centered, and all the other faces off to the side or closed. That's kind of easiest to follow. So the session that we are doing today is on teaching code with Swift Playgrounds. And we are going to need the Swift Playgrounds app for that. Veronique, who is with us today as well, she sent you all an email, I believe in last weekend, to remind you that to either download the app and also that you needed a preference is that you have two devices with you today. So I'm just going to start a little poll to see where we are on that. So let's open that up. So my first question to you is, you should see a little screen pop up. Do you have an iPad and or MacBook with you today? So please give us a vote in there. Yes, MacBook, yes, iPad, yes, both, or no, neither. If you are not on an iPad or a MacBook today, you can only watch. I guess you can't really code along. So you need an Apple device or a MacBook or an iPad to join in today, as Swift Playgrounds runs on that. All right. The majority of you have both. That's great. That's excellent. I see a couple coming in now who have neither. Like I said, unfortunately, you have to follow along. So there's the vote on that. All right. Let's ask the second question. Did everybody do their homework? Did you download Swift Playground? Are you ready to code along today? Downloading it now. Okay, excellent. So if you are downloading it now, or if you are on your way to download it, you can scan that link, or you can go to this link, that one there, and then you should be able to download it. Okay, so quite a few of you have got that. All right, then last one. Have you ever used Swift Playgrounds? So no, if you've never used it at all and you have no coding experience. Yes, if you have used it and therefore you have some coding experience with Swift. And then also no, but I have coding experience. So maybe you have been coding in different languages. Okay, quite a few of you have some coding experience. That's great. So looking forward to seeing what you'll create in this session today. Excellent. All right. Then I'm assuming that those of you who were still downloading the app, that it's kind of finished downloading now and that you're almost ready to go. We'll do a little bit of an introduction before we actually start coding. Right, so what we are doing today is we are going to code with Swift Playgrounds, and the app works both on iPad and MacBook, and it looks very similar on both. I will be using the iPad today, so if you're on your Mac, some things might look a little different, but I think for today's session, everything should look pretty much the same. Right, so if you'd like to know more about this project that we are doing today, you can find out more on the Apple Teacher Learning Center, and that's where you can find these projects, teaching code with Swift Playgrounds, and then at the bottom there are these 4 teaching code with Swift Playgrounds projects. And these were released, 2 of them in the summer, and then 2 of them only last week. And so last week we did this one, Design a Simple App. And today our session is on this project. Now you don't actually need to download the project right now, because you will be students in my workshop or in my lesson. And at the end, I will tell you where you can download this. So if you want to do this with your students yourself, or if you want to finish the project, then you can do that. So for now, no need to go to the Learning Center yet. I will tell you where to go in a bit. But what you can do is open up Swift Playgrounds, and that's this app. So if you are opening it up for the first time, this will be completely empty. You won't have any content here. So these are all the other projects and apps that I've been working on. If you go to the bottom right here, you should see all. And when you tap on that, there's the whole everyone can code curriculum and all of the different what do you call them, workbooks or apps that you can do. So the core of this is learn to code and get started with apps. Here students learn Swift, and I'd like to see this as more as like the back end of the app, and get started with apps. Here they learn Swift UI, what perhaps can be seen as more as the front end and the design of the app. This is the core of what you would do with your students. And then most of the other things are like extra projects. So what if you want to add sound, or what if you want to have some logic in your app, or some a seismometer, like a bubble level, or maybe you want to get your students into machine learning if you're teaching upper secondary. But there's loads and loads of content here. So today, our project kind of assumes that you're doing, you would have done these 3 with your students. Like I said, the core of the curriculum is usually get started with code and get started with apps. Now, before you do this project, maybe you want to do laying out views as well. which is a nice bridge to what actually is a view. And so I'm just going to give you a speed course in what is a view, so we can also skip laying out views when we dive into this project that we're going to do in a bit. So have a look at these 3 apps and see if you can answer the question, what is a view? And so a view is actually every single thing that you see on the screen, right? So this is one screen with the weather in Amsterdam. And this screen has got lots and lots and lots of different views. So every little temperature, this rounded box, those are all views. And the same in the other 2 apps. In Swift, when you start building an app, you need to organize these views. So you're writing code from top to bottom. But how you organize your apps, that depends on stacks. And so in your code, you will have an H stack, a V stack, and a Z stack, right? So in H stack, your views are horizontal. So we have rounded rectangle, rounded rectangle, rounded rectangle. And then they're horizontal. In a V stack, they are vertical. And in a Z stack, there's a depth layer. They are on top of each other. So what would that look like in the weather app? Well, if we have a look at this screen, we would see, okay, we have the Tuesday, and then there's rain, the temperature, and so this is an H stack. These views are ordered horizontally. But this app or this screen also has a Z stack, which has a vertical stack within it. So the Z stack is the sun background, and then the V stack is on top of that with Amsterdam and the temperature and the windy on it. What if we look at Duolingo? We see a Z stack here, or actually 2 V stacks, but the top one is a Z stack. Sorry, 1 V stack, and the top part is a Z stack. Right, because these are layered on top of each other, and the box kind of gets smaller as you go down. And a V stack here with just these boxes on it. And now this Duolingo screen maybe looks relatively simple, or at least this screen does. But the same principles are used when your code gets more and more complex. So Airbnb just switched a lot to Swift UI as well, and they perhaps organize their stacks like this. So there's a Z stack with maybe the map behind it, which you don't see now, but it is actually behind there. And then you have the image, you have the heart on the image, that's all depth. And then below it, you have a V stack and an H stack. And that's kind of how it is all organized. Okay, these stacks will make more sense as we go into our code, which is what we are going to do right now. So open up Swift Playgrounds. And like I said, I will be using the project that is on the Teaching Learning Center to take you through this lesson today. And so look at the WebEx, look at my screen, and then you can code along either on the same screen or on your iPad, depending on how you have it set up. So this project is called Build with Stacks and Shapes, and this is the content of it. So we're learning out these views. We're setting up a new app playground, and you are going to compose something. Okay, but what is it that you're actually going to compose? You are going to create your own self project, just like these teachers have done here. Right? I think this one looks quite canny. And Owen there. Is Owen on the chat today? Sorry, we didn't ask you for permission to actually use these photos. I think Owen won't mind. I love this one. I love his little smile. So these are all of the tools that we are going to have in our toolbox by the end of today's session. So somewhere, this session should be about at least an hour, hour and a half when you're doing this with students. We have about an hour left, so we'll see how it goes. I will take you along up until probably trim a shape, and then afterwards I will give you some time to finish your self-portrait, and then I would love to see your examples at the end of the session as well. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so again, normally we would expect you to have done get started with code, get started with apps, and laying out views. Okay, so if you are struggling and this is your first time coding, feel okay about it, because we're expecting students to have like a little bit more knowledge before they attempt this project. If you have maybe some older students and maybe 14, 15-year-olds, then they will be fine diving in with this first. But we also see a lot of primary school students, maybe 9, 10-year-olds doing this. And then we expect you to kind of go a little bit more slowly. So what we are going to do today is we are actually going to start from a new app. So if you have Swift Playgrounds open, look on your bottom left of the app. And there you should see this. So here, oh, not that one. Here you should see app on your bottom left. Tap on that one. And with this, you can create your own app, which for those of you who are new to Swift Playgrounds, you can also actually use, you can actually send to the store. You are able to code a fully fledged app to the App Store that you are able to code that on the iPad. All right. Yes, but I love that heart. I love that.
Should we check if everybody is at
Yes.
this point?
Yep. So give me a thumbs up if you all have like my app and then a number behind it there. All right. Excellent.
Looks like all thumbs are up.
Excellent. Okay. My image looks different. Yes, that's okay. They all kind of come up with random ones. You see, this is one that I've made earlier, and you are able to customize or kind of choose from a menu of images. That's fine. When you first create the app, you'll just get a random image. So tap on the app and it will open it up. And then here you should see some things that look a little bit familiar, because this is where you see what this VStack stuff is all about. Okay, so I will kind of explain this code for a little bit and then we'll get going. So import SwiftUI, that just means we are going to use SwiftUI for this. That's the language that we're adding on top of Swift as well. Okay, so SwiftUI uses structs, structures, and we see a content view. Content view is usually like the first screen or the main screen of your app, and it's a view. Everything is a view, as I just explained. And then we have a body, and the body is also a view. Okay. No need to understand all of this, but here we have this VStack, and in there we have an image and we have text. Okay. On the right, we see exactly what is going on. So I can change this and type here, hello code week, and my app immediately updates on the right. For those of you who have coded in different languages, for them this is like magic. For me, I've only coded in Swift, so for me this feels like normal. But to others, this is like magic, that on the right you have an immediate update. There's no rendering time. And you can imagine that that's pretty brilliant in the classroom where you have lots of impatient students. Okay, so on the left here, I can see different files. So I only have this content view and then my app, which actually shows the content view. So that's not very interesting. We will only work in one file today, so that's okay. Then on the top here, I can play this full screen. So now I can play my app full screen. There's not a lot going on there yet. So also not very interesting. But the first steps is we're going to be adding stuff, and that you can do from these buttons. So here you can add a button, a color picker, an edit button, a link, yada, yada, yada. So this is kind of like your menu bar. And then on here, you can see your bugs will show up. Okay, so your first step is going to be to delete this placeholder stuff. So get rid of the image, the globe, and the text. So you can select it and press delete. And now our app is completely empty. And what we're also going to do is change this V stack into a Z stack. There you go, and Z. So now it is a Z stack. All right. It is still completely empty. So the very first thing that we are going to do is think about the face that you're going to create, right? Think about your own face. Is your face more like a square, a rounded rectangle, a circle, a capsule? Because we are going to add shapes, right? So this lesson is called Build with Stacks and Shapes, right? So this is our stack, and now we're adding a shape. So what we need to do to add a shape is we are going to go into this square with a dot in it. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you should see some shapes. So we have a capsule, a circle, an ellipse, a rectangle, and a rounded rectangle. Those are the shapes that we can work with. We can't work with all of them, unfortunately. Or we don't have like a triangle or a hexagon. So think about your face. I'm going to go with a capsule.
And Susanna, this looks different if you're if your language is not English of your app, of course, but you can still search for an English word.
Yeah, so I should be able to search. I was going to search for it in Dutch, but you can still search for it. Rectangle, rounded rectangle, capsule. So if you're not sure, the English will always come up. Capsule in Deutsch, yes, thank you, Peter. Jonas missed the Z-stack bit. Okay, so you just go in with your finger or with your cursor to where the stack is. You can also just delete the whole thing and just write Z stack. Now, it is important that you have a capital Z. A small z, it doesn't know what it is. Cannot find in scope means I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that is. So it needs to be a capital Z. All right. Now, for those of you who have added a rounded rectangle needs a different parameter. Nope. So if I add a rounded rectangle in here, there's also a corner radius that I need to worry about. And so this corner radius can be 12, and then it is very small, or I can make it 50, and then it's bigger. So only with the rounded rectangle do you need a radius, a corner radius. Yeah, there we go. So you have a capsule, a circle, ellipse, rectangle, rounded rectangle. Does everybody have the first shape? Was everybody able to add a shape? Okay, excellent. All right. Now, for those of you who are stuck, what if you get stuck? There are some core principles that you should kind of know about, or not, they're not really core principles. It's more like 99% of your students will make these mistakes. So every bracket that you open, you need to close. So you can see a V-stack here, and it has an opening bracket and a closing bracket. Oh. Ooh, yep. And after a rectangle, there's an opening parentheses and a closing one, and the same with a frame. 9 out of 10 times when your students make a mistake, it's because their brackets are not working, or they've opened and closed one, or they're just not in the right spot. Like I said, capitalization matters. I've written rectangle with a small r here, and then it doesn't know what it is. So as a rule, everything that you add is with a capital letter, and then everything that changes the way the thing that you've added looks is with a small letter. So that's why frame is with a small letter. So then it's with a dot and a small letter. Okay, we'll get back into that. I'll get into that in a bit. And then, just like anywhere else, use Control-Z on the physical keyboard. Or if you have a digital keyboard, then you should see the undo and do again buttons on the keyboard that is on your screen. I can show that here. All right, so there on top left of the keyboard, you see undo and redo buttons there. Okay. Now, if this was still very easy, small step. If you are getting into these bugs, you can no longer really see what is going on in your app. So you need to be able to fix the bug first before you can continue. Now, this is really difficult in a remote session as we are doing now. When I would do this with my students and I walk around in the classroom, I can immediately see what is going on with my students' code, especially those closing and opening brackets. 9 out of 10 times I spot it immediately, but I can't see your code. So that's why we've made a little Padlet wall where you can also upload a screenshot, and then we can have a look at your code and kind of maybe figure out what is going wrong. So if you either scan the screenshot and then or scan this QR code, and then do this on the app that you're doing Swift Playgrounds on, because it's important that we see a screenshot. And then we have Matt Hanlon here with us today, who is an actual professional programmer. I'm a teacher by trade, so don't come to me with your more difficult questions. But Matt Hanlon here will be monitoring the Padlet and will try to help you if you get stuck. Feel free to ask it here in the chat as well. That doesn't mean that you can't ask any questions. It just means that I can't look at your screen to immediately see what's going on. So this way we hope to get everybody on track. We haven't done it like this before, so hopefully it will work. We're trying it out with you guys for the first time. Okay, so everybody has a rectangle. Now we are going to adjust the size of the shape. So what we're going to do is we are going to add that frame modifier to specify the size of your shape. If your screen looks like mine, then you might think, oh, have I actually added a shape? It's all just completely black. But you did. The default color of the shape is just black. Okay, so what you need to do, make sure you do, is when you add this frame modifier, that you're on a new line. So make sure that your cursor is below the thing that you've just added. So put your cursor below the shape that you've just added. All right? Then next up is go to this modifier menu and then search for frame. It will give me a default value of 100 and 100. So when you search for frame and then you tap on it, it is added to your code, and again you can immediately see what is going on the right. Okay, so now you need to think about your face again. Think about this width here. So if this is 100, then the width of this screen looks about 400 in total. You can actually just try it out as well. 400, so maybe I want my face to be 300 wide or 250 wide. You can play around with that, and this is where your own customization come in. So feel free to really make your own faces. I need a bigger corner radius here. People say I have a long face, but probably not that long. Okay. Does everybody have a face that roughly resembles the shape that they would like? All right. Okay. And again, if you take out the dot, it no longer works, right? Your app crashes. If you take out any of the punctuation marks, your code will crash. So this is where it gets really difficult for students because they need to read very well and they need to be careful when they're writing their code, because these details really matter. But it's also just a great way to teach them these skills. All right, so we have our shape. Now the next step is to add a bit of color to our shape. Okay, and for this we are going to use the foreground style modifier. So there are two ways of adding a modifier. The first one was this menu. You can have a look through it and kind of select what you want. But real coders, I've been told, just kind of type everything. But maybe you don't type it out in full, either because it just takes too long or because you don't know exactly what the code was. So what you can do is you can type foreground style and the autocomplete will show up here. So when you type foreground style and then either press enter or tap on this little blue icon, it auto-completes the code for you. Secondary content style, that's not what I wanted. And sometimes it does something unexpected. Foreground shape style. Oh, this one. Okay, I actually want this one probably. Why? It's also not what I want. Okay, let's do what the project actually says. Foreground style. And then blue. Yes, that's it. Okay, so foreground style. And then so sometimes it can mess you up because it has like placeholder code in it that sometimes you need and sometimes you don't need. So with this placeholder code, the secondary content style, you delete that and then you type a little dot and you get a list of the colors that you can add. So again, just like the shapes, you don't have all the shapes. You also don't have all the colors that are in here preset, but you can have a look at everything that is in here. And I'll look at a way that you can give like your own colors in a bit. So let me go with orange today. That's a very bright orange, but that's okay. All right. Does everybody have a color in there? So foreground style, open parentheses, dot, whichever color you want, and then the closing. Okay, I see lots of thumbs up. All right, excellent. I also get this question a lot. Why not foreground color? That also works. It's just that when you are going a little bit more advanced with students, they ask, oh, but I want a gradient. And then a gradient is more like a style because it has two colors in it. So but, with this, you can actually use a gradient as well for those little more advanced students. But we might get to that at the end. Yes, and again, when you are stuck, feel free to post a screenshot on that Padlet, and Matt will help you out. Okay, now, if you'd like a little bit more of a true to reality color, then you can also create your own shades using red, green, blue, and alpha, or hue, saturation, and brightness. I will copy and paste those into the chat for those of you who want to try copying and pasting that, because it's a lot to view from the screen. All right. Does that work? Yep. Okay. And now getting these colors is a little bit tricky because you can't search for like just the hex colors, and if your students are going to tweak it like this, like, oh, I think my face is about half red and a little bit of green, it takes them forever to kind of get their own shades. So a fellow educator in the Netherlands, Cindy, did this with her students last week, and she actually created this for them. So this is a little teacher tip. This is not in the original deck, so if you'd like to use it with your students, then take a screenshot of it now. But she just made like a selection of the more predominant skin colors that she had in her classroom. So if I want to take the top left, I would use 0, 8, 7, 6. And then the alpha is the transparency, so that just stays at 1. Okay. Again, here, if you delete anything, it will stop working. So when you're using this with your students and they are copying and pasting this, or just kind of just copying it from the board, they will mess up. They will miss a bracket somewhere. So just be mindful of that, is that when you're doing this with a group of 30 students, sometimes it's helpful to just kind of send them a code snippet, like this little snippet of code in maybe whichever platform you use to send like messages in class to your students with, rather than have them copying everything out, because they will miss things in my experience. Okay, so for the next step, we are going to add a neck. So we have our face, we've added a color, and now we are going to add a neck. And so this is a Z stack that we're working in, right? So we are going to add a new shape, and usually your neck has the same color as your face. So we can just copy and paste this color in a bit. But first I'm going to add a rectangle. So I can go from here, search for rectangle, and add it in. And now my face is gone. But this is because we're in a Z stack. It reads your code from top to bottom. So the face is actually just behind this rectangle shape. So if I add this frame again, I can either copy and paste this, or I could just add it from scratch. All right, there it is. So how long is my neck? Sorry about that. I still have a cold, just like most people I hear. Okay, was everybody able to add another shape and add the frame with the correct parameters? Okay, excellent. Great. Okay, you can kind of tweak these numbers as you go along. I'm just going to go with 100 by 100 for now, and then I'll see how what it looks like in a bit. The next step is that we're going to add another modifier, and then we're going to add the offset. So tap on this modifier menu and search for offset. There we go. Okay. Now it adds by default an X and a Y value. And so it just kind of shifted it to the bottom right. You can kind of manipulate it to see what it does, right? So X is to the right, and then Y is below. And so it takes the center here as 0, 0. And so you can see now why this is an excellent lesson to do in math as well. But so where do we actually want it to go? Well, we want the neck to stay in the center. So I can actually either delete the X value altogether or just write 0, 0. So 200 is too much. So how about 170? Okay. So we have now the X offset is 0 and the Y offset is 170, and now we have a neck. We just need to make sure that we copy this skin color. So we can select all of this, copy, and paste it below. There we go. All right, thumbs up if you have a neck. And please let me know if you want me to slow down or show something again. Yella asks Control V do not work for Apple, right? So it's Command. So it's Command Z and Command C and Command V. So the command is next to your spacebar. Any other questions before we move on to the next step? Nope. All right. Apply what you've learned to add a shirt. So a shirt is basically the same thing. You add another shape, you place it correctly using the offset, and you give it a color. So I will give you 3 minutes. Actually, maybe that's too long. 2 minutes and 24 seconds to do that. So go add a little. Can we add half a circle? That's the last step, Alicia. Yes, you can, and I will show you how to do that in a little bit.
Bronwyn had a crash issue. Can you please repeat what they should be doing? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. So apply what you've learned to add another shirt. So you add another shape, probably a rounded rectangle. Then you add a frame. So think about the width of that and the height of that. Ooh, there's our timer. Excellent. So you add a frame, add a width and a height, add an offset. So you want it below your neck, and you can add a color if you like as well. Yeah, blue is fine. So now we have a little shirt. Okay. How are we doing in the Padlet mats? Does anybody have any bugs? Any bugs yet that people need help with? Not yet, okay.
Yet, yeah.
Not yet, all right. So either people are shy or they're all doing great. Okay, so was everybody able to add a little shirt below their neck? Tim was, Joachim was, great. Was anybody unable? You can also add a thumbs down if you like. The offset is measuring from, that's a great question. It's measuring from the middle, but also the middle of the screen. So from here, but also the middle of your shape. All right. Now this is your question, Alicia. How to trim a shape. So in this bit, we will add, this is the last thing that I'm going to show you afterwards. I think you have everything you need to build out your portrait. But we can use the trim shape modifier to create a little fringe. Now I don't have a fringe today, but it's just a great way of showing you what's going on. So we need to add a circle for the frame. And again, think about the shape of your hair. Do you want like a little bulb? Then you would have a circle. Do you want a square? Then you'd have like straight hair, maybe a rounded rectangle. Think about which shape you want to add. So again, this button is for adding stuff. This button is for changing what it looks like. So here we can add. So I will do a circle. All right. Again, it's on top of everything. So I need to add the frame modifier again. Oh, and actually for a circle, this is something that you and your students might run into a lot of time as well. You think, yeah, but I've added a width of 400 for this circle. Why is it still so small? It is still so small because the circle has the same width and height, so it takes the smallest number here. So if I delete this, then it becomes bigger. Okay, but this is like my hair that should be behind my face. So actually, this circle needs to be at the top. So just below Z-stack. There it is. Yeah, so this shape for your hair should be at the top of your code as the first thing in the Z-stack. That means the top of your code is actually at the bottom of your screen. Okay. So now that's what we have. Okay. Now we have the back of our hair. Now I want a little fringe. So I can add it here. And if we now add the trim modifier, it needs to be directly below the shape, because otherwise I'm trimming the frame and not the actual shape. I can do it in different ways. I can start typing, trim, or I can use this menu. It's up to you, which one you like. And then it says from 0.0 to 1. So for that, we need to know where is this 0.0. So this 0.0 is actually here at like 3 o'clock. So what we need for trim, so if anyone has a beard, then this might be a good way to start creating a beard. But we want a little trim. So actually, I'm going to go from 0.5 to 0.1, right? So here is 0, 0. Here's 0.5. And then it's 1 again. So now it's trimmed from 0.5 to 1. I can change it any way I like. If I'd like a little lopsided one.
Susanne,
Yep.
why is it at the bottom? Why does it work at the bottom? I thought you said it has to go from at the top.
Yeah, so there are two shapes. So let's change the color maybe to make it clearer. Right? So this shape is like the back of my hand and the stuff that I would see like behind my ears maybe. But the fringe is on top, so it's two separate shapes. Yeah, so I have one at the top here. That's a brown one. And then I have one more circle at the bottom. And that's where you add the trim to.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And the code is always read from the top to the bottom by the machine, right? And it starts by doing what's at the top. So it starts by what's at the back, like you've put your first post-it note and then you're adding other post-it notes on top. So the brown hair at the top of the code is like the first post-it note or the first thing that the code does, executes it, and then it goes to the next that puts it on top.
Yeah. All right. Was everybody able to add a little trim? Not yet? Okay, that's fine. That is fine. One of you was, or two, yep, they're coming now. Okay, great. One of you not yet, or I missed a name. Is there anything that you're stuck with or anything that I can show again? Mohammed, anything that I can help you with? I cannot get the circle behind the head. Okay, so if you want the circle to go behind the head, you need to copy it or just cut it and paste it at the top of your code. So just below the Z stack. That's the first thing. Any tips on how to easily create glasses, Alicia says. Not necessarily easy. This one I had to play around with for a while as well. But basically you've got three shapes. You've got a circle with an offset to the left, a circle with an offset to the right, and then a rectangle in the middle. And then yeah. I will show you I'll show you in a minute, Alicia. So we have about 15 to 20 minutes left for you to add things like glasses or maybe a little breast pocket or some eyes, a mouth, a nose, a mustache, whichever you like to add, whichever fits your face. You should be able to really create your face with everything that we've given to you now. There are a couple of more things in this project that I said that you could download from the Learning Center. So I will just put that link again into the chat. Copy. So if you go on here, you see some examples that you can also show to your students, but it also has the project Keynote that I am using, and you can use that to continue for yourself, or either if you want to read up on anything that I've said, or also if you want some of the next steps. So if you want to download the project, you need to scroll all the way down, and then either you can look at it just on the website. You can go through all of the steps here. Right, this will look familiar to you. This is everything that we've just done. Or
We don't see it, Susanna. We only see your
oh
screen
yeah,
with text.
sorry. Yep, there we go. If you go to this website, you can do the web-based version here. Then you don't need to download anything. So this goes through all of the steps that will look familiar to you. This is everything that we have just done. Or you can download the Keynote project and then share it as a presentation. Okay, so you will have about 17 minutes or so now to continue what you're doing. One of the things that is still in this deck is how to add a shadow. Maybe you want a shadow underneath your chin. There's a girl with a little shadow there, so you can add a shadow with a certain radius. Maybe you want to add a little background color. All right, so see for yourself what you still want to get done in the next 15 minutes or so. We will set a timer, and if you have any questions that you would like to ask, then either pop a screenshot into the Padlet or ask me here, just like Alicia just did. So I will answer Alicia's question now of how to add glasses.
Do we want to do a breakout? Would that be useful?
Yes.
If some people want to ask Matt?
No, you
I
can
don't
just
know.
mute me.
Yeah. Okay.
You can just mute me if you don't want to hear how to do glasses, but I will set a timer of 15, 17 minutes. And then at the end, I'd like you to share your screenshots on the Padlet. So there's a little bit of pressure for you to show what you've done. All right, ready, set, go. Go create your faces. All right, Alicia, so I have my face here and I have the glasses here. So this perhaps is a little bit complex, but I have my right eye here, right? So there's a Z stack and a Z stack and a Z stack. So that's where it gets a little bit complicated, perhaps a little bit too much, but this is a Z stack here, right? So that's my right eye. And then I also have another one with my left eye. Okay, then this is the rectangle in the middle. So this one here.
That's quite a bit of
Yeah, so you asked for the easy way to do it. But so you can, if you just want the glasses without the eyes in it, then let's see.
That's easier, no? Without
That's
let's say,
easier.
let's say sunglasses then.
Just with black glasses, yeah. So you probably need like a rounded rectangle,
Yeah.
and I can make this foreground color maybe a little black. There we go. And then, so this one is actually cheating a bit because stroke is not in this project. So maybe this one should actually be black. There we go. And then offset, that's all stuff that you've learned. Then we have the rectangle in the middle. Then this one also black. Wrap. Yeah. You can also just get rid of the opacity. So basically, you're just kind of layering the different stacks and the offsets. What if I just get rid of this? I'm just going to try to make it as easy as possible or simple as possible. Yep. And now what I need for these here, for the ones to the side, that's actually a rotation effect. So these are just rectangles, but they're rotated 40 degrees. So
That's interesting.
that's the cheat. So if I were to copy and paste this thing into the other project, let's see what happens. Extra bracket. Okay, there's one.
You're starting to look like a pirate.
Yeah. Yeah. And so all of the frames and the widths and the heights are different in every project. So you can't always just copy and paste it and make it fit exactly. And so this is also where it becomes really handy to add in those little notes for yourself. So when you have these two brackets, then you can kind of leave a note to yourself at what the code is doing. Because the other one I made 2 months ago, I kind of forgot some of the stuff that I was coding then or how I did it then.
No, I've done that. I've put little notes for myself.
Yeah.
To see which element is what. I just think it's a little bit. What is complicated is that if it's new for us teachers and we want to try it with a class, which I will do, of course, yeah. Is I can't really troubleshoot.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why I don't know why system came up with it. So I'm just gonna say, well, go for it.
This will get easier with time. The first time I did it, it was also difficult to see what was going on. And also I think with like this question of glasses, you would have figured it out by yourself. It just would have taken you time, I think. And that's the same what it would have been with students. They and it's also just in the errors and in the figuring it out where we start to learn and see results, right? So actually we can take that one out.
So I think me, what I would like to just do, but I haven't done it yet, is just to figure out how to get curly hair. I mean, I know it's work. I just have to do it
Yeah.
to get a bit more texture in the hair and the glasses. That would be what but I've done more or less a basic thing with lips and with eyes, so I can share that.
Good. Nice. Okay, so this is
I love
kind
what
of getting there.
Bronwyn is sharing in the chat. That's
Student
we
level,
call
yes.
blind leading the blind. It shows that a teacher can learn too, along with the students. Students
Yep.
love an opportunity to show us how to do things.
That's definitely true. Yeah. And also, they will just kind of look through this and find stuff, right? So when they know that there are all of these modifiers in here, where are the shape modifiers? Shapes here. So offset, rotation, there it is. Scale, size, stroke, transform, and trim. So if you show them this, then they'll start to experiment with all the other stuff as well, from where they want to, and depending on what they want to add to their face. So the curly hair is also in the example up on the website, and I believe the way they did it here is just lots of circles with a different offset. Go on. Yes. So this one just has lots of little circles at the top, little ellipses.
Yeah, it's a little ellipses, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's another one as well. Like this one.
That looks really cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that hairstyle, to be quite honest. I mean, what we could do as an idea is that we could, for example, give the students, of course, they can create their own, yeah, but we
Yeah.
can give them like a finished product and say, how do you get there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Or you know, like for people who needs more scaffolding, here's a finished product that's adapted for yourself, no?
Yep. With just like the face and the neck. But then it's in those first steps that they kind of learn, okay, how to add a shape. So then they would skip over those steps.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of I'm jealous of Owen because his one really looks like him. Mine does not look like me, so
You still
I
got
know.
8 minutes.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a very funny one. The one that just popped up on the Padlet. That's very cool.
Let's have a look. Oh, there's one.
Now we just see a white screen, Susanna.
Oh, yeah.
And how are the others doing?
Oh, nice.
That's Jonas, who's bold and shocked, under shock. Ooh, that's a very nice one.
Nice, Alicia.
It doesn't look like you, but it looks very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit, you know. Oh, that looks also
That's great.
cool. That's really
Yeah.
nice. You see, we like this tilted fringe, huh? You see,
Yeah.
I think you started the trend, Susanne.
Nice.
Thanks for that.
Oh. Where's yours, Bronwyn? Are you taking your maximum time? how to move my one eye to the left or the right. So that's the offset, and then you're using the X value. So either X with a minus, so where are my glasses? Let's go into the simpler one. Okay, so here you have my left eye and a right eye. And so here my offset is minus 65, and here it's just a regular 65. I love how we hear your fervent typing, Alicia, or I'm assuming it's you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. You're very hard at work. Okay, 4 more minutes. Where can we share the masterpiece? So the masterpiece can be shared in the Padlet, which was there. Either this QR code, or let me get the link. That one. Some great screenshots coming in. Forgot to put this up. So the deck also has like a little reference sheet for you to look at as you're doing this, which might be helpful. So here's everything that you've learned. If you've not done any Swift at all yet, then this is also just everything that you've learned in this last hour and a half, which I think is pretty cool.
How happy is everyone with their artwork?
I understand, Bronwyn. It's yeah, it can get tricky. Did you get stuck on bugs that you had to fix other than the mosquitoes, or did you need help finding the right tools, or could you share what made it difficult for you?
I'm not even sure how to answer. I just I mean, I was following along, and maybe it's just old brain. I got stuck adding the t-shirt, right? I don't know why. I just tried to do the rounded rectangle. It just started giving me all sorts of issues. Then it did a crash, and I restarted, and then you were ahead, and then I was just like, and then eventually I got the circle for the hair, right? And I just felt like I was always about 3 to 5 steps behind.
Yeah.
But I'm sure when I go through this again, it'll be fine. So it's good though, because feeling like this just reminds us of how our students can feel. And it's good to struggle with things, because we must get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And this is really also just because we're doing it remotely. If I would have been next to you, I'm sure I would have been able to help you so much quicker, and I would have been able to hold your hand. So yeah, it's unfortunately this way when you're doing it via WebEx. But definitely true. It's so valuable when you're experiencing that, what your students might experience as well. And so that feeling of I am behind and I can't catch up, that is also why I think it's really helpful to have the deck there with you. So I didn't give it to you beforehand now because I wanted you all to follow me. But you can also think about maybe with your students, you would actually let them have the deck as well, so that they could follow all of the steps if they miss something, or but this is always an issue where it's difficult to catch up if you're behind or if it crashes. All right, how do I get the mouth happy? So there are different techniques. Let's see at what some of you guys did. There are different ways to get the mouth. Let's go there, because you can have what this person did. I think what they did was they trimmed an ellipse, right? So it's kind of like a crooked one. You could also have a circle within a circle. So you have a mouth shaped, you have a circle, and then you trim it, and then you have another mouth on top with like the skin color, and so you only see the lips. When you make the offset a little bit different, so you have one circle with the offset of 20 and another one with an offset of 5, then you should have lips as thick as 15 pixels, if that makes sense. Yes, for the person whose code is crashing when you run it, do you want to paste a screenshot of the code onto the Padlet? So maybe Matt will be able to help you there. Oh, that one's really cool. Yeah. So this is the one where the preview works, but it crashes when you try to run the app full screen. And that one we saw, great, nice. I like this one. Yeah, simple glasses, looks really cool. And so I'm guessing that this is also the effect of having two shapes on top of each other. So the glasses, the black one, the black rounded rectangle is a little bit bigger than the yellow rounded rectangle on top. It is also possible to use a stroke modifier, but that's not in this project, but it is possible. Extra argument in call, that one's for you, Matt. How to fix that one?
Yeah, and you actually had a slide on that mentioned ways around that. So it's too many items all at once, so you want to group them.
Let's actually find that one.
Yes, and that's a Swift thing, right, Matt? That you can only have how many? 10? 10. You can only have 10 specifications.
Yep.
Yep.
So there's my stack, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in here now. Eight shapes. So when you're doing like curly hair with lots of little circles, and I add a 9 and 10, and now if I want to do 11, I should get the same error. Yes, extra argument in cool. So a way to fix this is to add a group. So now this, so yeah, add an opening bracket, not this one. So now we've added a little group, and that this, it sees this again as just one thing. And it's also then really helpful to make a mental note to yourself, like, what is this a group of? So make this like add 2 slashes, and this is a code comment. So this is like a little note to yourself, so that later when you come back to this, you know that, oh, this is actually just all the hair. And then here I have my eyes.
And that's actually very good best practice as a coder, no, Matt?
Yep.
That is demonstrating best practice here.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
Because otherwise you don't remember what you built.
No, even coming back after lunch, sometimes you don't remember what you were building.
Yeah. All right. I love all of your projects. I think they look great. And if I would to have done this as a student, it also would have been, yeah, I would have loved coding as a little girl myself. And what I've also heard from educators is that they especially love that these projects came out at the start of the year, because it's a great activity to do with your students when they're like new in the classroom or introducing themselves, or they're kind of working on the theme of who am I and what am I doing in this classroom. There are also different ways to use this project to kind of make it your own. Maybe there are some art teachers in here. You can also use it to have your students create like a minimalist art lesson. Or maybe you're studying Mondrian and they get to recreate a little Mondrian. We've also done this with flags, where students get to create their own flag. We've done this with seating plans. I've also heard about doing it in geography with like a city planning, create a plan of the city, or the stars and sorry, the planets. So my final question to you now that you've done this project, how would you like to bring this into your classroom, and how can you integrate it in your curriculum? And is there anything that you would change about the project to be able to do so? Could you please have a think and write your thoughts in the chat? I'd love to hear your ideas. A cheat sheet. Yeah. A cheat sheet. So there's this one. And I guess the entire project is a cheat sheet because all the steps are there for you. So I now did it for my own playground where I coded it, but you don't have to do it that way. You can just use the Keynote deck and just go through all of those steps. Step-by-step videos, all right. Yeah, that can be easily done. But then, Alicia, what is missing from the video that is not in the deck already?
I'm really struggling with the hair. I'm sorry. I want to get the hair done. I don't understand where to put the I'm trying all different things. I'm trying to modify the modifiers and everything, and I'm not seeing anything. So I'm frustrated.
You're frustrated. Can you put a screenshot of what you're running into in
Well, I mean, I'm not
in
running
the
into
chat?
issues, but I mean, I tried to put another circle or an ellipse
Yeah,
down to create a
yeah,
few curly thingies like the guy.
yeah,
It's just not turning up. I don't know
yeah.
why.
But then probably it's behind all the other shapes. It's the layering of the Z stack probably. If you add it like to the bottom of your code, do you then see the circles that you've added?
It's worth taking Alicia in a breakout. Matt, maybe you can take her in a breakout and
No,
share
I
your
don't want to
screen,
cause
Alicia.
I don't want to cause trouble.
And
I
you
mean,
need
I
to.
could. I don't want to cause trouble. But I just don't know how to find, how do I get like in the example, I think
I,
the example
I think the
of the
best
boy
way would
curly.
be, I think maybe we set up a special session where you can learn it, Susanna, or with Matt, Alicia, because we don't have time now. We need to close this call, but happy to organize that for you, Alicia.
Thanks a lot, because I'd love to run this as soon as well. I'm running this with my group of 13-year-olds this year, so I need to understand it. Thanks a
I'll
lot.
put you in contact, and
Yeah.
I'll put you in contact with Matt and Susanna, and you
Hairdressing
can,
session.
yeah,
Very good. That's a
hairdress.
great idea.
All right, I'll do the email straight away.
Great. Project ideas. Bronwyn's got using a cheating project, creating portraits of each other. Yeah. And guess who it is? Yes, so at the ADE Institute where we took those pictures of Owen, we also tried to do like a little guess who game. And at first we thought it's going to be impossible, but it was actually quite possible to recognize each other. Yeah. Students should cut the hair. It's better for easy results. Yep, definitely. Luckily, students don't have beards usually, so that helps.
All right, we need to finish this, Susanna.
Yep.
Really, you want to close it, or?
Yep. Thank you very much, everybody. Wednesday, the 18th of October, we are doing the session we did last Monday with students. So not this one, but the app prototyping. We did that one with students. So if you would like me to teach your students a lesson, then you can sign up for that, and you can use that link. And Irini just posted a blog that I wrote about these projects in the chat as well. And I'd like to thank you all very much for joining me, for learning with me, for failing with me, and hopefully you feel a little bit more confident and able as a coder, and I didn't completely blow your brain thinking, oh, I can never do this, but I think you did a lot in this last hour. So thank you very much and have a great evening.
Thank you all for your time. It was great. Thank you. See you in the next webinars.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.